Hi, this is Cherie Ray. If you're lucky, you get to live a long life. During this time, you've had the opportunity to see and experience many things, many chosen and many not chosen. In this conversation, you have the chance to reflect if your memories are friend or foe. And when I say foe, it's reflecting to see if memories come back and are harmful or destructive to your experience of life. If you do find that they oftentimes decrease your experience of life, in this conversation, I hope you gain some understanding on how to live with them differently. Memories, friend or foe? Friend or foe? So this is what I noticed in the exploration of memories is to kind of notice within your own reality the impact of memories as they pop up for you. And like Anne had mentioned, how she really gets flooded with the energy of memory, and can become aware of that. That's one point that's so significant about really starting to notice that your experience is coming, what the experience happens to your body when memories come to mind. Because whether it's a great memory or a not great memory, I want you to notice that it will flood your body with sensory um, feelings or sensory overload related to how you're classifying that, you know, how the memory is for you, whether it's pleasant, not pleasant, whatever. And that's subjective. That really is subjective because excitement and fear can feel a lot. The physical aspects of it can feel the same. Your body gets a lot of charged energy in it. So with that in mind, I wanted to say that if we're lucky enough to live a good long life, we will collect memories. We'll have them. We're going to have them. So as human beings, my whole focus in my work is like, okay, how can we reduce struggle and suffering and this wonderful gift that we've been given? And so I noticed that memory plays a big part in how and what shapes our reality. So, to Linda's point earlier, to be in a room with 5 family members and you bring up a specific situation that is factual, the situation is factual, but you can see, say for instance, someone dropped the turkey at Thanksgiving. There's a fact, you know. But when you check into each person, you can see that their perception or their experience of that particular situation is completely unique. When what happens is for us as individuals, we seem to take our memories as fact when truly they are a combination of perception and thought. Okay? So, one of the great things about establishing a fresh relationship with memory in the point of is it friend or foe, is catching on to the fact that how I see things is purely how I'm seeing something. I'm seeing facts, but I can't not see a fact without it being flavored with a lot of me. Okay? Because the facts are neutral and the same across the board. They dropped the turkey at Thanksgiving. Okay? But what we make of it, what our experience of it was, is completely subjective and all mine. But what can be so interesting about those memories is that what we do with those memories that we hold to be fixed and based in fact versus based on my experience or perception is we build a reality out of that. we build a reality. We it starts to take form. Brick and mortar starts to go up, you know, that people are the people in the story are the way you see them. The story happened the way that you see it. People get kind of identified or delineated as one way or another. And we don't see the role that thought is playing in our memories. Okay? So if we hold it a little bit looser, that this is how it looked to me, and you have a conversation with another family member or someone else, it might be easier to connect with them because you start to understand that they have their unique set of perceptions around a particular memory and you have yours.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make anybody wrong,
No.
but it does help you. It totally helps you see that what I'm seeing is mine. You know, what I'm seeing is mine, and that doesn't have to be a problem or something that creates separation between other people. So I say that just to kind of get a little fresher relationship with memory and how it starts to form a reality for us. I mean, oftentimes it'll create a reality that you'll fall on the knife over. You know what I mean? And it sometimes it can be a very polarizing thing. And there's not space in there to really entertain someone else's reality because these things can be they can harden and solidify. Your memories can harden and solidify. And then you kind of it creates separation. I'd have to say it creates separation because it makes somebody right and somebody wrong. And if it doesn't match our perception, they've got to be wrong about it. So, so if we think about what are memories?
They're stories.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how do memories make it from uh, 1992 to 2021
In our brains,
in
in
our
our
brains?
thinking.
In our
Mhm.
brain, exactly, exactly. So we want to see how memories are what memories are made of. Memories are made of thought carried forward. Thought carried forward. And what I find so fascinating that like we had talked earlier with that uh, Twin Towers study about people coming from the Twin Towers and then being interviewed later, is that those memories are not fixed, even if you think they are. That they can shift and change, and you can't even be aware of if it's exactly the same. But we're going to live in this moment as if they're the still as true today as they were in 1994. But it's if you start to look at that, it's like, well, what is it? It's not happening now. It's not active in your life at this moment. There were facts from the past, but then we carry them forward into 2021. We carry them forward into today. So what I what I think is so helpful to see is that first of all, every and any thought is completely benign and it can't hurt you. It doesn't matter what the thought is. If it's based on a horrific past experience, if it's based on a glorious past experience, there's not a thought in the world that can hurt you. So we don't even have to be afraid of them. And I think that's one of the greatest things to see is that when a thought does come to mind or a memory does come to mind, too often times we don't see it as a thought coming into the present moment, and we can get really I'll say enamored by it. And I mean, even if it's not a good memory, it can still captivate your attention and you can allow yourself to think into that thought that came to mind about a past experience. And when we think into it and we linger into it and stay in it, possibly reflect on it in the could it have been different? Could I have been different? Um, how did this happen? What did I do to cause this to happen? You can see how when we go back and start to think into a memory, here's where it comes to where what Anne mentioned. When you think into it, your body starts to get flooded with the memories. I mean, gets flooded with the feeling of it. Even though it's not happening right now. It's not happening right now, but your sensory ness of your entire body is reliving it, whatever it is. Whether it was a great experience or not a great experience. Do you notice that from like what Anne had said about how you can, when you think into whatever it is that's coming to mind in reference to memory, you're going to be flooded with the sensory experience of it. But it's still thought being carried forward. It's not reoccurring in your life at this moment, except via thought. So do you see how that is that can that can be so important to see because for most of us, I don't know about you guys, but I think most of the population has a desire to live in a better feeling more of the time. I mean, we all want to live in a better feeling or feel better more of the time. So, if that feels true for you, it's the opportunity to see what is what really is in my side of the line that can help me in living in a better feeling more of the time. And that's where memory comes to mind for me, where if we see that we have the opportunity to exercise free will in how I use memory and get more conscious about how I use memory, that I will have the opportunity to curate, in a way, a better feeling for myself. So if we look at bad, I'll say bad memories, as in memories that, you know, are occurrences, facts we wish they had never happened. You never invited them into your life, but they are occurrences into your life, and you can't change those facts. You can't change them. So, how do we have a better relationship with those facts in our life, and how do those carrying those memories forward via thought impact today's experience? I I hear this a lot with, people who have had horrific experiences of abuse earlier in life, and I have such compassion for them because they really think into those memories a lot with an analytical mind, wondering if they could have done it differently or if they what they did to cause it, how it could have been different. But every time they think into those memories and try to re-examine them looking for answers, they're basically flooded with the experience all over again. It's like grabbing a hammer just as that Bobo's about to heal, and you get that hammer and you bust it open again. And it's so innocent, but we think if we reflect and look into those memories, and like we said earlier, we all see that our memories are very subjective based on me and my mental conditioning, that uh, like we've already established, it may not be always be based in fact, but it's just how we remember it today. And then what happens is they want to recover. They want to get distance from those horrific events in their life, and innocently they don't see that by thinking into them, they're bringing that experience back to life in their current life, and then they suffer, and then they suffer. So with with that in mind, it's like we're not denying what happened. We're not saying it didn't happen. The facts are the facts. But as we start to realize that I have some choice, I'll say choice, I'll say free will in waking up to ways to curate a better feeling and really allow insights to be what brings you fresh information on past events. And insights are not from grinding on a particular situation. It's from really relaxing the mind, and fresh information comes to you. And that's how the healing can occur. If you know, to be, I'll say healing, as in the rewiring or the transcending those horrific events. But so innocently, like I said, so innocently, we look into those to find answers, and we won't find answers by just re-examining, ruminating, or looking deeply into them. And the what ifs, how could it have been different? You know, do y'all notice that when you go into those kinds of memories, kind of where what what kind of gets stimulated and generated? Regret, fault. I don't know, just whatever. What did I do to deserve this, and all that kind of stuff. There'll be no answers in that ever. It will purely just generate more spin on a past topic, and you won't feel better. You won't feel better. So, the one piece that I really wanted to bring back is like everybody has a desire to live in a better feeling. Okay, so here's what can happen: that you get a chance in your life to make a decision. You get a chance to in your life to make a decision about, do you want to be at happy? Do you want to be happy, and do you want to live in peace? If that matters to you, I think that's a great question to even reflect and ask yourself. It's like, do I want to be happy, and do I want to live in peace? No matter what. No matter what events have happened in the past, no matter what, um, uh, gosh, you have memories of, no matter what. Now, if we get to a place where we've decided, I want to live happy and in peace no matter what, that helps to be a dividing rod when the memories come back. Horrific memories come back because you know your body's going to be flooded with the experience again, and it's going to distract you from your natural state of being, which is peaceful, joyful, happy.
I realize in the present that was my perception of what happened, but it could be inaccurate.
That's a
And,
great,
and,
absolutely.
yeah, and also seeing myself in the film, I realized that if all that hadn't happened, which at the time was very scary and horrific, but if I hadn't been pushed out of my regular way of being by being in this situation, I never would have had the nerve to start our nonprofit. And I just got that as clear as day. It just changed everything. I thought, wow.
That's
Does that,
beautiful.
does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And when you made that statement about uh, basically your perception, I'm curious. Like when that came to you, did your body relax?
Yes. I just felt fabulous. I thought, wow. I mean, there's just a whole nother world out there that I, you know, wasn't connected to in a sense. Or I don't even know if that's the right verbiage, but you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it felt
Mm-hmm.
fabulous. It just lifted a ton off of me.
Exactly, exactly. So it's like that's in that place about if we catch on more and more to, like I said, in our innocence, we just want to feel better, but we really don't know what road to take.
Mhm.
And then when we get a better relationship with something as routine and common as memories, something as simple as a memory is really my take on an event, not carved in stone, that something inside of us relaxes. And I don't know, it's quite mysterious. I don't know why it happens, but I make up that because we're getting closer to the truth, our body relaxes. The
Mhm.
farther away from the truth, our body contracts and where we suffer. So, I mean, think about it. Like, I think about that, like going into the holidays. If you go into the holidays and you're going to be around family and friends with their own boatloads of memories about you and and everything else that you share, it's like, wow, how great would it be to be at a table where everybody has the opportunity to live in their memory and nobody has to go Perry Mason on them and make them right or wrong. How much easier would the holidays feel for you?
I love that. Thank you. I'm going to just mute myself, but that's fab.
No, thank you. Thank you. What else has come to mind for anybody else?
I'm in my car, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, I've never done it like this. Um, well, I had an experience of just what you're describing a couple of nights ago that um, I had not heard from the rabbi of my congregation since my brother died last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I had stories about that. And isn't it, I kept saying, I'm not upset. I'm just curious, that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
denying that I was upset, I guess. And over the couple of days when I was thinking that, my shoulders were just killing me. And so, and they hurt on and off, my joints too, but it was different. Anyway, so 2 nights ago, I was telling the story to somebody, and all of a sudden I realized he may not even know. And Robert had announced it at Temple on Saturday at a different function, but the rabbi never knew my maiden name. So why would he connect them? I had that thought, and as I had it, there was like a cool breeze that went through the room. It was weird. And my shoulders stopped hurting.
That makes perfect sense to me.
And I said, "Did you make that connection?" And he said, "Oh, no, he called me because he had seen Robert at a meeting, and then he called me immediately."
Right.
And
Right.
so I told him what had happened, and I said, I was making all this stuff up. And
Exactly.
I said, did you know that that was my brother? He said, no.
Exactly. So
So that's exactly what you're talking about.
exactly. Exactly. And it's the same whether it comes from a historic thought. It's still thought. Do you see what I mean? A historic thought is a memory.
Say that again.
And historic thought is a memory.
Yes, yes.
And but it's still thought, and it's
Right.
thought generated by us, you know, by our human mind. It gets
Yeah.
generated, and then it builds a reality. Then we live in it. So with that same piece, it's like whether it's memory, positive or negative, or whether it's thought that we entertain and look into, you can see that your body has a physical reaction to it, and also it takes the form of a reality, and then you live inside that reality as an absolute, and then you suffer. Now, if we could cultivate, like when we really decide, I'm going to be happy no matter what, because you'll see that people can be happy in horrific circumstances. Not that we're inviting them, we cancel all that. But you see that people really get closer to God, divine, whatever you want to call it, in the most horrific circumstances, that their commitment to joy, peace, and happiness, when you make that commitment, you get the opportunity to find truth in what really does cause your happiness, where happiness lives inside you. And so this conversation on memories is like, if you've made that choice that I'm going to be happy no matter what, then you start to get key information on what takes you away from your natural state of being, which is peace, joy, and happiness. And then you're like going, it's, to me, it's like currency. I am not spending it when I wake up, and when I say wake up, the waking day, and find myself my mind has, I've taken the bait and I've traveled off into a memory, or traveled off into something that seems right or wrong to me, and I get a feeling state that if what I'll say negativity even, it's like I'm like, back up. I'm not spending my currency on that negativity. And it's not about being a Pollyanna, and it's not about the power of positive thinking. It's just about staying out of places, I'll say places of thought that flood me with a bad feeling. It's not going to change the facts of life, whatever those facts were. But it is going to give me the opportunity to really exercise free will and make a choice that I want to be happy. I want to live in peace, and I want to live in joy. And if I see that I have some sort of part in that, then that's the place where I feel like once I put the pin in the map, that's the experience that I'm committed to in life. Then you start to see how much you're not going to let things bother you. It's like, that's not getting my bandwidth. What they're doing over there, especially if you have no reach into those situations. You have no control over those situations or those people, and it's like the alarm goes off faster, and you're like, back up, back up. But you see, we have free will. We have free will we can play with. We are not victims to our memories. We are not victims to the circumstances of things that have happened to us in our life. We can really be more supportive to ourselves and who we are today by having a deeper understanding of memory and its impact on your life today. So what comes to mind for anybody? Anybody have any questions or anything on that?
I do. Um, I'm pretty much a buyer on your idea here.
I love that. my word for anything. Try it out. That's
No,
what I say. Take it for a spin.
no. I mean, I've been doing that for a while, as you know. I have been taking first step, but I don't know. I'm a little bit torn because there was a memory or an experience or what I believed, a story, as you would say, a narrative about a long-term relationship that I had. That really, every time it posted, it, as you said, caused that flood of bad feeling. And, you know, I never have been able to change that until recently. I took a spell of time to myself and I said, yeah, I write. And I kind of said, okay, let's just go all the way. We're going to write every awfulness about this that makes you think this way. Let's just explore all the bad stuff and darkness, and wrote it up, wrote the whole story, and then said, okay, that's good. So if that's just a story, how else could you write this? And did it from a different point of view, same story, but just from a different perspective. And I did have a huge benefit from that because this is such a fundamental change in my life, seeing it from that perspective to this new one that I wrote, that it's almost like a lot of times I will start to re-experience, because it's so habitual, that bad feeling about this relationship that I'm still involved in, and then go, oh no, wait a minute. You actually know another truth, you know, something else is actually true about this. And it has been a big help. And I'm not sure, you're absolutely right that every time I retrieved that for 20 years or more, I did feel bad. And every time I re-experienced another brick in the wall in that relationship with that person, I felt bad. Okay. And I kind of tried to do the Frozen thing, let it go.
Yep.
But the reason I finally focused on it and wrote it out one way and then tried, okay, but what if you were on the other side? And got a new insight there. I mean, that was the only way I could finally kind of deal with it. And it did. I mean, it continues to help me every day.
Absolutely.
So I think sometimes letting it go is good, but if it's just something you just don't seem to be able to let go of entirely, sometimes maybe indulging the whole thing and then trying something different with it can help. I don't know.
But I'll say, to your point, Janet, like indulging it, here's the magic bullet with something different. Now, indulging it in the same old way, ruminating on it in the same old way with no curiosity,
right,
dropping to something different, your own wisdom gave you that idea.
So you would say that's more on an insight experience of like, okay, well, if all of these are stories, what other story could you tell with the same facts?
Exactly. But see, you opened the door when it occurred to you that this could be one story of many. You got a crack right there. When you said this could be one story of many, you weren't still holding it as an absolute.
Yeah, and I'm not kidding you. I no longer believe my original story, even though it's what I've lived for more than 20 years. I don't believe it anymore. But it still comes up.
Sure.
My mind thinks I believe it, and then I go, oh, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And it's not something that is as you would call it, maybe a willpower thing. I'm not trying to change my mind. It's just I have to remind myself, because I have such a bad habit of viewing, or I have such a habit of viewing this situation negatively, that I forget that there was a whole lot of benefit for me too.
That your mind doesn't let you see.
Right.
You know, and depending on how high, I like that, it's depending on how high you go up altitude wise, you know, like the world looks different at 5,000 feet than it does at 35,000 feet. You know, our life looks different at on ground level versus 35,000 feet. But your own insight, Janet, about let me see if I could look at this another way. You let the light in right there. All of a sudden, there that reality is not so solid, and then there's an intelligence that can work its way. And then to the same point, it's like, say you you can't not you can't look away from a bad memory. All right. Now, a lot of times too, might sound contradictory, but I don't mean it to be. But a lot of times too, we don't even let ourselves feel it. We get so quick to distract ourselves from feeling something that we never allow ourselves to get to the end of it. And really, because we think there's no end to it. And that's not true. But that's very different. That's very different from indulging it and looking at it with curiosity. But I appreciate that, Janet. Really, that sounds. And those great little nudges like that are tapping you on the shoulder all the time. There's an intelligence and a benevolence that doesn't want you to suffer, but you got to open your mind, in my opinion. If you can open your mind to something other than what your mind is telling you, there's a whole lot of possibility and potentiality when you can kind of see your mind as it's part of your team, but it's your mind is not the voice of God, or whatever God is. It's just a compilation of what it believes to be true, but it can't hold the absolute truth. I love the fact that y'all mentioned how it floods your body with whatever energy is you've associated with that fact in your life, that it can be unreliable. I love that. That kind of helps take some of the camouflage off of it, that it's unreliable, that memories are your own mind's creation, and that may not be shared by anyone else. And even even seeing that it's something that looks so real and true to you in your mind's eye, does not resemble anything in someone else's mind's eye. I think the grassy knoll and the Kennedy assassination is a perfect example of that. Everybody saw something else. They were all eyewitnesses, and they all saw something else. The facts are the same. Kennedy was shot, but they all saw something different. And how long has that been argued? For a long time. Yeah. Anything else come to mind? How does it feel inside you on really making a commitment to how you want to experience your life? What's that feel like inside you? That there's something different than being at the affect of circumstances.
It makes me feel powerful. Uh, I don't know another word to use for that, but that I can, because the idea that I made it up is very helpful.
And innocently made it up.
Yes, and
not consciously, even.
Yeah, I can let it go, and I just feel very powerful. Like, okay, here I am doing this again, so I could choose not to do this, and it's like, wow, Mm-hmm. So I like that. I like that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Me too. Recently, I kind of played with it. Because I had a bunch of just surprise negative emotions over some losses recently, and it just like it occurred to Janet, it occurred to me. I was like, wait a minute. I just saw that every time I went down that path of right and wrong and negativity about things that were occurring, that there was the option to not go down that road. And in the beginning, it seemed to be harder because there were so many things kind of like pow, pow, pow coming at me. And I would have the negative reaction because it's happening so different than what I would choose for it to happen. It would happen so different than how I would choose for it to happen, how I could have ever imagined it would happen. They still kept coming. And I kept saying, I'm not going, I'm going to practice not getting negative on how these things just keep hitting me, because it was not part of any expectation or idea in my wildest dreams how it would happen. And I noticed that I was kind of like on high alert in the beginning, and then after a while, really great stuff was taking the real estate, that habit of being reactive to things that I didn't expect and I didn't want, and my negative reaction to it, if something else took up the real estate. And then what took up the real estate was that I was just kind of like, I felt more like a hot knife on butter, you know? I was just kind of going, just moving through life. But it helped me to see that I was creating the drag. It wasn't the circumstances of my life that were creating the drag. It was how I was holding those circumstances of my life that was creating the drag. And the ick feeling, the being wronged, the ick feeling of when disappointment can be so great and so far beyond your reality, you couldn't imagine it. And then it hits you, you know, and it's like, no, no, but we can wake up to that. And what happened a month ago is today's memory. What happened yesterday is today's memory. What happened this morning is today's memory. It's so somewhere other than the present moment. Because we can't we can't control stuff. We just can't. And we can't change the facts of our life, but they don't have to dominate us today. By a memory, by a memory, by a thought in this moment. I kind of like, I figure if we're going to make it up, we might as well make it up in our favor, you know? I just say, make it up. Like Janet, like all that icky stuff you said happened, you know? I'm like, I make up it was all to help evolve my soul. If I can make it up, I'll make it up. I don't want Halloween every day. I don't like haunted houses. I love haunted houses, as a matter of fact, but I know it's fake. But see, I don't know my mind is fake. I think my mind is real, but I know a haunted house is fake.
Well, what I've noticed about memories with loss in this last week and a half is that the memories that I've been talking about for years of stuff that didn't work, or I didn't like it, or it was this, or he was that, it's all fallen away. And the only thing that's left is the love. And I have to say, I was surprised. I was very surprised. And I don't go back there. And because it's like, why would I do that?
That's
what
so
you know what
true.
would be the point? Do I need to make somebody wrong? I don't think so. And nobody was wrong. We were just who we were,
Exactly.
doing the best we could do. And so that's been a real gift, to see that oh my God, I can in an instant let go of that stuff.
In an instant.
It's incredible. And just to touch on what was said after I talked about what happened with the rabbi, I know now where it came from. When you said the thing about memory, that was the pattern in my family, was listening to people talk like that, like so-and-so didn't do this for me, so-and-so didn't respond, so-and-so. And I even had the opportunity pretty much right after I had the conversation with the rabbi to talk to a cousin of mine who's still holding that, and she expressed it all, and I thought, okay, well, that's where she is. What, it was like I didn't have to get any on me.
Oh, I love it. It didn't have to splash on you. That's pretty good.
And I could hear it and think, oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the shit I've heard. Okay, well, I don't want to do that anymore.
Right there is free will going, I can choose
Yeah,
differently when you can.
right, right. Yeah,
Beautiful. I think that's so true, Susan, because like when there are a few things, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything as definite as death. And when death occurs, to me it's so final, so much BS in our mind falls away.
yes, yes. That's what it, yeah.
Because to me the love, what I'm seeing in my own experience, that the love never dies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the gift. When our mind is quiet and it gets quiet, we get a chance to see that love never dies.
Yeah, yeah.
And that the other has been so much static in our head about these people or about events in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And that what
And
really
about
matters.
ourselves.
And about ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh,
But when
I
our
got to
mind
go. This
quiet.
is beautiful, but I'll be back at some point.
Okay, see you
Love
later.
to you all. Thank you.
See you later.
Okay.
So that point that I'll wrap up with is that at the end of life, our mind gets quiet, but our mind can, and we see the love that surrounds us, as it looks to me. And it's like, but the fact of the matter is, as it looks to me, and don't take my word for anything, try it out, is that when our mind gets quiet, we automatically feel loving. We automatically get a chance to experience a full heart, a peace, a joy. We see what really matters when our mind quiets, and having a, a, a better understanding of how memory can play into your experience or work for you or against you, depending on if you decided, you want to be happy. That can help be your dividing rod, and then your heart and soul will help you wake up sooner when you've gotten in the weeds, and it's going to take you back to what really matters. What really matters to me is in the human experience is really feeling that, that connection to everything. And don't let memories bring the static. Thank you for joining the conversation on memory. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I hope you gained some understanding on how you can utilize memories in your favor. My work teaches you how to eliminate struggle from your life and business. I also support you in living in peace with all you cannot change. If this resonates with you, you can reach me through my website at cherieray.com. Take care and thanks for listening.